Okay, we're back for OU Youth Life Groups. And before we get into the lesson, I just want to brag on you guys. This past Sunday, we did a service day. We had over 60 of you that served across our city and our community and our church. We gave out flowers and homemade cards to some of the senior adults in our church, and they were so pumped up about this. One of them said that when some of you came to their door, it was almost like they'd been visited by angels that came with a blessing, which I think is amazing. So thank you for all the ways in which you are being the church in Oxford, not just on service day, but wherever you go and whatever you do. I want to continue in our series, Strong and Weak. That's what we're doing on Sunday mornings, and that's what we're doing today. What does it mean what is the life that Jesus wants for us? What is the life that truly is life? What does that entail? Well, it's rooted in God's intention and desire for us to flourish. And what does flourishing look like? It looks like having authority and vulnerability, being both strong and weak. But maybe you're experiencing in school this year and during the pandemic and everything, a lot of weakness and not very much strength. I was talking to somebody the other day and said that they're struggling. Another word for struggle, like real deep struggle, is suffering. And it turns out, live long enough in the world and you're going to experience suffering. You're going to have some pain that you carry around with you. I was playing soccer with my boys last Friday afternoon, and I kind of tweaked my back. I did this jump twist motion, and I hurt my back. And since then, I've been carrying around that pain in my body. And I just think that's the way it is for human beings in the world. Everybody carries around some pain or struggle or suffering in their body. The question is, what do you do with that pain? What do you do with that struggle and suffering? Well, if you go to the Bible and you look at the New Testament, particularly the Gospels, what you find is that there are tons of people who are struggling, who are in pain, who are sick or suffering. And what they do with their suffering and pain is they don't just carry it around. They bring it to Jesus. They bring it to Jesus. People who are sick and demon-possessed, people who have unclean spirits, people who have all kinds of maladies and addictions and problems and pain and suffering, they bring it to Jesus. And this is what Jesus does. Jesus is moved with pity, moved with compassion, and he does something about their suffering. He heals them. He relieves their pain. He sets them free from their sin. He offers them forgiveness, and he alleviates their suffering. And they bring their suffering to Jesus because they believe that Jesus has the power to do something about it. Well, the problem is that at the end of the Gospels, Jesus' power is ultimately taken away from him, and ultimately Jesus himself suffers. He dies. He suffers death by crucifixion. And it appears that the world is nothing but a place of suffering. That is until he rises again from the dead. And the death and resurrection of Jesus, that's the heart of the gospel. And it transforms what is possible for your life and mine. It means that in the experience of pain or suffering or struggle, whether you're experiencing this in your own life or you see it in someone else's, it gives you the capacity not just to see that as a powerless moment, but you are given by the gospel, by Jesus' power, by the resurrection, an opportunity to be restored to some form of meaningful action, even within the experience of suffering. So there's a woman that I talked about on Sunday named Isabel. Isabel cleans houses for a living. She's a Hispanic immigrant in the Santa Barbara, California area. And what she does is she goes into houses of very wealthy families, and she realizes when she goes there that there's brokenness in those houses, that everything appears clean and perfect, and she's there to keep it clean and perfect. But she knows that the families that live there experience brokenness and pain. So she doesn't just enter into the suffering and make more suffering. She offers blessings. She offers prayers for the families that live in those situations. She's restored because of the gospel, the capacity for meaningful action, even within the experience of suffering. And so I think that's the case for you as well. And so tonight, as you're talking, talk about places where you've experienced pain or problems or even suffering. Maybe not in your own life, maybe you see it in someone else's. And think about ways in which the gospel might restore your capacity for some meaningful action, some meaningful blessing that you can offer for somebody else to take somebody from a place of suffering to a place of flourishing.